welcome to the Buffalo Intellectual Podcast. This is your host Radhikant, aka the Buffalo Intellectual. The dream is over, it's gone. The vision has ended. The beauty has evaporated from the world, and Aam Aadmi Party has just been defeated in New Delhi. Not just was it defeated, it was humiliated, it was broken down, it was trounced, it was wiped out, it was vanquished, it has been obliterated, and it has been decimated. That's where we are. That's the point in time that we record this podcast on this momentous occasion. King pompous, arrogant, Banya meritorious, IITian Arvind Kejriwal has lost his own election. He lost his seat. Saurabh Bharadwaj, that other insufferable buffoon from Aam Aadmi Party, who absolutely I could not tolerate, he lost his seat. A lot of the Somnath Bharti types, they've lost their seats. The Parpadganj seat is gone. Manish Sisodia is gone. Atishi, don't call her Marlena, she's dropped her last name because she's very progressive like that. Khatri, proud woman, chief minister, leader of Aam Aadmi Party, more on her later. She managed to win her seat only by the narrowest margins. I think like some few thousand votes she got in. And I think the only reason she managed to win is because the BJP put this absolute idiot Biduri in front of her. Like, he's so unlikable that he couldn't even beat Marlena. Like, if they had put any half decent guy against her, I think she would have lost her seat. That's safe to say. But yeah, interesting times. It's gone, it's over, the dream is over. Everything feels a little darker. You are knocking on heaven's door because that's the only place left to go now. India is done. It's over. The elite Savarna dream is over. And I, for one, am very, very happy about it. And I'll try to break it down for you a little bit, because it's not just a loss of Aam Aadmi Party in this election. It's actually something much deeper than that. For those of us who grew up in the 2000s, early 2010s, that was the period when we were coming of age. It represented a certain kind of ideas and politics and vision of India, and I think this is truly the death of that. I'm gonna put my witch right here so she's in the camera. New setup today for the visual thing. It's actually not a new setup. I just, instead of filming from here and with that background, I wanted my shame to reflect on the screen. This is the unscientific poll prediction that I did. We had put up on Instagram stories. And here's very interesting analysis of my Instagram followers also. I put up this prediction of my usual absolutely unscientific prediction of polls, which tends to be correct. And I put this up and I said, Aam Aadmi Party will get around 33 to 45, right? It's a big range, but I wasn't very confident that they were going to win it, but I thought they will be very close to it, and BJP 20 to 24, and I was thinking Congress will get 0 to 2. I got the 0 part right, and I had put in about 10 to 14 seats as too close to call. What tends to happen, first I'll just talk a little bit about this election and then about what it represents. Okay, so here's what happens in an election like Delhi. Delhi is a city-state, right? If you're looking at, say the election in a medium-sized state, right, like a Telangana or a Karnataka, right? It has regions. I'm not even talking about the bigger states, heavy populations like Bihar or Uttar Pradesh, where you're talking on a much different scale, right? And what tends to happen in medium and bigger size states is you get regional politics. There'll be eastern UP, and there'll be a belt of 16, 17 seats which all get influenced by regional motivations. A city state is not like that. The regions in a city state like Delhi is basically mohallas. So South Delhi is not a region. South Delhi or Southwest Delhi has many fractions. So your issues and political leaders across parties tend to become very hyper local, from who's from which which mohalla, which ilaka, and everything like that. So these are always very weird elections to call. The other thing about these kind of elections, especially in Delhi, is that it doesn't have a local base, right? So it has all these people coming from different parts, and all these different things just mingling together. So it's a slightly different and a difficult election to call. But I could have, like, my usual method is I go in and spend time listening to these Twitter chat rooms and Facebook groups and things of that nature, and I see how each party is talking about it. And my sense of it was that Aam Aadmi Party, there was this feeling that we are not doing very well. And there was a sense that the whole moral politics that Kejriwal was trying to do wasn't working this time. BJP had changed its attack very well, actually, this time. The last election, 2020, it was a very high voltage one in the middle of the CA-NRC campaign, and that time BJP had gone for a very celebrity driven campaign. Like, there were a lot of chief ministers coming in, a lot of big rallies. And say what you will about BJP, they learn from their electoral losses. So this time, they decided not to do the Delhi election like it was a medium state election. They did it like a city election. They did it like a very micro niche municipal election type of strategy. They did a lot of small sabhas, lot of small groups, RSS groups activated. Like lots of meetings rather than giant big rallies, which they started doing towards the end with Modi and Amit Shah and all of these people. So, as usual, our media, which doesn't really go beyond the very visible, hyper shining thing, missed a lot of this energy that the BJP was building up. But you could see it and hear it in a lot of these groups that were going on. Even the Congress, I think the Congress did very well in the election. And if you see how Congress is reacting to this election, they seem pretty happy with it. Because what they did is, yes, they got 0 seats. But I think what they did was, they identified about 20 seats, 25 seats, where they were like, we are going to go very hard at these seats. You're not going to win all 70, you're not going to be a presence in all of that. So they decided to go with about few seats. And I think, I said 10 to 14, I think there are 13 to 14 seats exactly, where the Congress candidates fought really well, and they got more votes than the difference between BJP and Aam Aadmi Party. It means that Congress was the reason why Aam Aadmi Party lost about 13 to 14 seats directly. 13 seats directly to Congress, 1 to AIMIM, basically OAC's party. 14 seats, Aam Aadmi Party lost directly because the people who would have voted for AAP ended up voting for Congress or these other parties. And that's very big, So BJP ended up with 48 out of 70 seats. If you take away those 14 seats, it's like all the close seats broke for BJP. So all the 14 broke for BJP. So you add this, it still goes to about only 38. It doesn't go to 48. So some people, so I got very interesting reactions. Some people messaged me before the results, when I put this on my Instagram. They were like, oh, you think Aam Aadmi Party will not win? What is this? You're just saying 33, BJP ko tune itni seat de di. And then after the result, people were like, oh, you didn't give BJP enough seats. Shut up, okay? Truly. And I think I responded to somebody saying, they were like, oh, you were wrong. I was like, no, I was right. I was just not right enough, And that is such a Rajdeep Sardesai type thing to say. I feel I'm finally ready to, hit national television as a political expert. Because even when I'm wrong, I'll make it sound like I'm right. But I think I kind of got it wrong, because for Delhi election, what you have to do is you have to go, it's such a hyper contested thing that there will be chat rooms and groups and pages and WhatsApp lists for each constituency, right? So you can't guess for, if you deep dive and listen to one constituency, Northeast Delhi, you can't project it to all the other 6 seats there. And well, I have a girlfriend now. Okay, so I actually have a life. So the time that I would have otherwise spent listening to some of these rooms, which is what I was doing before Lok Sabha. Like every night, like people would come home and like spend time with their family, their loved ones, or watch something on OTT. I would just like come, like make a drink and like listen to all these Twitter rooms. I'm not doing it at that depth anymore. So yeah, sorry, I got it wrong, but everybody else did too, right? But I still think that, I got the sentiment of it. I just did not, and I will admit this, I truly did not see the scale with which BJP came back. And I think, in my absolutely unscientific, unresearched, dumb opinion, which by the way is the opinion of everybody who claims to be an expert on these kind of shows at these kind of moments. Like we are all giving reactions right now. But I think one of the major differences that worked for BJP was they came out and announced that we are not going to stop doing the Aam Aadmi Party's welfare. Like whatever the schemes they started, we won't stop it. So a lot of people were voting for AAP in the state election, thinking like all the and they did give some benefits, right? They did do some good work with schools, they did some good work with healthcare, they did some good work here and there. So there was this worry that once BJP or any other party comes to power, they will start undoing all of those things. And the moment BJP said look, we are not going to change all the good things they've done, we will just make sure that the government runs more smoothly. And I think the moment they did that, they just took away Aam Aadmi Party's biggest salient features. AAP should have celebrated that by saying that, look, we forced in 10 years these people to play to our agenda. But Kejriwal is terrible as a poll strategist. People keep forgetting that this dude's lost so many elections that he should have had. I won't say win, but he should have had a much bigger footprint. He's absolutely the reason why the parties, his own party, could not make a bigger footprint in Goa, in Gujarat. Gujarat was a terrible decision. I think Gujarat BJP, this whole idea that Aam Aadmi Party will go into Gujarat and fight BJP on the home turf. Bad move, guy. Bad move. Because I think that's when it became really personal for Modi and Amit Shah, and you don't want to make it personal with these guys. So even though the Gujarat election, BJP won very, very big majority, they won all the seats, they won, even the scale of victories in a lot of seats, they won by over 50-60% vote share. They noticed Aam Aadmi Party Gujarat vote share was about 12%. And they are not going. So you come to Gujarat and get 12% vote share. No, now we are coming to Delhi, right? And they immediately started this whole thing, this campaign of finding irregularities, arresting people up, arresting Kejriwal. And basically, it's a long attritional strategy, right? Even if the common people in Delhi feel that, okay, BJP is kind of hounding Aam Aadmi Party, the scale of it, the dailiness of it, the bitterness of it, the bickering of it, I think eventually starts eroding voter confidence. They're like, yaar, ye roj ka jik we don't want. And that, I think, is where Kejriwal really is such a banya crybaby, that I think he did not realize that his constant whining is actually having the opposite effect. He just assumed he's the messiah of Delhi, and people would just be outraged, how could you do this to Kejriwal? And maybe they would have 10 years ago, 10-12 years ago. And that's the point of this episode, which I'll get into later in the show. They would have done that. They're not going to do that anymore, because that era is over. What BJP successfully did in the last 5-7 years is they dragged Kejriwal down, or the icon of Kejriwal, or the idea of Kejriwal, down to just another politician. Politicians get arrested all the time. Nobody gives a shit. He's not a messiah, he's not an activist. He has himself not wanted to be that for a while. And I think that really stuck, like the combination of this constant daily bickering, the LG versus the state government, Aam Aadmi leaders getting arrested, and then Kejriwal coming out and being like, "Dekho, hamare saath kya ho gaya, अन्याय," and like that clown Atishi, who he put as chief minister, that absolute sycophant, that absolute puppet, like she gave like these cringe. Go back and see some of these clips. Like she gave these cringe interviews. She's like, मैं गद्दी पर नहीं बैठूंगी, like ये मेरे जैसे जैसे श्री रामचंद्र के लिए भरत जी उनकी वो चप्पलें लेकर whatever, like don't come at me, I don't know this, but like how in Ramayana, like Ramchandra's Ramji, whatever, like I'm sorry, I don't mean to cause disrespect, I'm just trying to make a point. How the younger Prince Bharat takes, says, I will not sit on the throne because, my elder brother is in Banvas. And that's what Atishi is saying. Like, she's like, no, Arvind ji jail se aayenge, to wo banenge. I'm just like this. Like, you have just devalued your biggest asset, which is the chief ministership of Delhi, only to make your party boss happy, who himself is a clown, that he doesn't understand that that's what that whole thing is doing. And I think it just greatly devalued that office. This constant bickering, this constant idea, देखो हम तो काम करना चाहते हैं, हमें कोई काम नहीं करने दे रहा, this whole nonsense bit of it. I think people got tired after a while, they're like, fine, like we voted you in because you did some good welfare work. Now the other guys are saying they'll also do it, and you guys are frankly annoying and irritating and very sanctimonious, and we can't tolerate that. And I think that sentiment is what is reflecting in the mandate. Mind you, BJP has always been very strong in Delhi. Like if you go back, like since the Delhi state was formed and state elections were happening, they've never had a vote share less than 35%, And I think even in peak Kejriwal, peak Aam Aadmi Party movement, when they wiped out Congress, I think even in that election, BJP got about 32%, right? Which is their lowest. Otherwise, and that's a freak election. That's why I'm not counting it in the usual ones. But they've never been below 35, 37, which is a very strong voter percentage. When Aam Aadmi Party enters Delhi, it basically breaks away the entire Congress vote, right? So it's a Congress vote which shifts to Aam Aadmi Party. They grab a few vote percentages from the BJP as well, some 5-6 percentages here and there, but percentage points here and there at best. But Aam Aadmi Party is literally built on the debris of what was the Congress stronghold in Delhi, which is why Congress Delhi unit absolutely hates the idea of, has always hated the idea of any kind of alliance with Aam Aadmi Party. Even if Rahul Gandhi and the national leadership wants and all this India alliance wants and everything, the local Delhi politicians of Congress, they hate the idea of working with Aam Aadmi Party, because as far as they are concerned, Aam Aadmi Party killed their local career. It is the whole vicious campaign against, Sheila Dikshit, who by all means was a politician that everybody liked in that city, like the voters, even opposition people. And it was the Aam Aadmi Party which was like viciously attacking Sheila Dikshit's government, and like, piled on that whole Congress corruption thing. And it killed the party in Delhi. And Congress political leaders in Delhi since 2015, they've been out of power for 3 consecutive elections, right? Like, they are not going to be friendly with AAP. So I think they were more than happy to be like, fuck this guy, fuck this party. They are very sanctimonious, they are very preachy, they are very whiny, and like, we are not going to cooperate with them. Somehow the Congress High Command got the local unit in Delhi to go along for the Lok Sabha elections, but there was no way this was going to work out in the city elections, which AAP, because the delusional fucks that they are, they just thought that they had it. This is home turf. And that's what I mean. Like the dream is over, and this is why does AAP feel like this? Why did Kejriwal's entire electoral strategy revolve around the fact that देखो हमें ऐसे we've been persecuted now, please, the voter will answer. Like why? Like nobody's getting into the psychological element of it, and that's why I'm here. That's what I'm trying to do, because actually you have to go back again to the elite savarnas of the 2000s, which is basically the theme of my podcast and a lot of my work. I've done like now 45, 46 episodes of this show for the last 2 years, and I've put up about 20 plus episodes on the Patreon. Like, so there's hundreds of hours of me just talking about this one topic, and now other people are talking about it, by the way, which is that this whole generational thing, like you have to start seeing the time we are in terms of a generational wave. And the generational wave, early 2000s, was that India's educated youth, savarna liberals, are going to fix India. That was the whole momentum. Ever since Chandrababu Naidu in Andhra Pradesh said, development will be my election issue, not, caste politics, not this politics, not that politics. The Savarna liberals loved that. They loved hearing that, and they were like, that's it. That's the thing. So in their very stupid heads, for a lot of educated, professionally employed, white-collar jobs, engineer, MBA Savarnas, in their very stupid, disconnected from reality heads, the only problem with the great Indian dream was quote-unquote corruption. कि सब ठीक है, everything is okay with the system, India is poised for this great lift off where we will become like, counterbalance to China and become a superpower. Everything is on script. Sirf ek problem hai, we have corruption and we have bad politician. It is such a childlike view of how things played out, and never forget that this view they are building, and who is their most ideal corrupt politician? Their corrupt politician is actually grassroots politicians. People like Kanshiram, people like Mayawati, but also people like Lalu Yadav and like all of these Samajwadi Party. Like whether you like them or hate them, these are caste parties built on groups who are historically disenfranchised, right? Nobody from I don't like them, but nobody from the Chautalas and Yadavs and Jats, and like I dislike the politics of these groups, but none of their constituents were going to Doon School and St. Stephen's, which is where Rajiv Gandhi and all of these were picking their cabinet. Like these were rooted political parties, right? And most ideological amongst them, most forward thinking among them were of course like the Ambedkarite formations of the Bahujan Samaj Party, but these are rooted grassroots politicians. If the educated elite Savarna liberals had any sense, they would have been listening to these groups and cooperating and participating in those conversations, but they wanted nothing to do with these non-English speaking rough politicians. इनके दिमाग में ये लोग corrupt हैं, right? Suit पहन के, you represent McKinsey or any like one of these consulting firms, and you do like financial locha, that's okay. Like literally, this is a generation. I'm part of that generation where the Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. Like the entire banking system in the US exposed itself as like this giant financial fraud. So did the MBAs or engineers in India like have a rethink, like okay, maybe all these institutions and structures and that we are putting our faith in as able to deliver the kind of like, because they're above scrutiny, they've just been proven like as deeply corrupt at a scale we cannot imagine, right? So should we rethink our approach to things? No, we don't need to do it. Only thing wrong with India is these corrupt politicians who divide people by religion, caste, and only if somebody came who was above all this, and could deliver services and utility, and that would fix it. Like what India needs is a CEO, not a CM. That was the whole approach of that era. You see movies like Swades coming out, like the naive idealism of that. Like I miss the innocence of savarnas from that era. This idea that Brahmins working in NASA. I've said this before on some podcast of mine. These Brahmins from NASA are coming to India and like staying back to build India again. None of that is happening. That optimism is over. All those people are going away. If you made Swades 2, if Swades 2 sequel was made by Ashutosh Gavarekar and Shah Rukh Khan would be sending his son out saying like, no, go back out, go back to the US, right? Swades 2 would be about Shah Rukh Khan's longing for his life in the US. Because he's had enough of UP and he's figured out that India is really not going to take off. And Swades 2 would be about like, ye jo desh hai tera, Swades hai tera, is like Shah Rukh Khan going through, the streets of New York and San Francisco and looking at it. That is Swades 2, right? That's been the generational hierarchy, right? Generational curve of this thing, where it started with this idea that this educated elite Savarna liberal class could fix things because they could, that dialogue from Rang De Basanti, another one of those dumb movies that Savarnas from that era love for some reason, like हम politics join करेंगे, IAS join करेंगे, देश कोई भी देश great नहीं बनता, उसे बनाना पड़ता है, some nonsense like that, right? And I love how in that same film, the dude who said it dies and his friends don't take that advice. They instead go and shoot the ministers. Like, it's so beautiful, that self-defeating in itself. But like, there was this naive optimism that these problems can be fixed by just putting liberal, educated, meritorious, quote-unquote, Savarnas in charge. And Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party reflected that, right? I don't think we fully still understand what happened in the Anna Hazare movement, because it was such a lightning in a bottle moment. Like, you can't recreate it, right? Like, I don't think that people who orchestrated knew that it was going to catch fire, but there was an element of orchestration behind it, clearly. It does seem like, after the two Lok Sabha losses of BJP NDA, the Atal Bihari Vajpayee was unwell and out of action by this time. Advani is aging, Pramod Mahajan is dead. The BJP political formation is appearing weaker after the 2009 Lok Sabha election, and there is this feeling like something needs to be done. And the Anna Hazare movement actually brings together basically the right-wing civil society, right? Whether they organically came together, whether they were placed on the stage, I don't think even if that was it was orchestrated, I don't think anybody, including the people behind it, knew how massively it would catch fire, but it caught fire. And the scale of it, I think, coincided with the helplessness of the Congress to respond to it. Apparently, during that period, Sonia Gandhi was very unwell and not involved in the day-to-day operations of things. And some weird reason, they decided to make Pranab Mukherjee their presidential pick. Like, he was a very hands-on guy, right-wing, closet Sanghi, but like he was the guy that Congress needed at hand. But like, they took him out by making him the presidential candidate. And it seemed like there was nobody in the party. Rahul Gandhi was too young and too untested. Nobody in the party could actually figure out what's going on. And I don't think the BJP actually had a plan on how to capitalize it. And it is Narendra Modi, because he's just so ambitious from Gujarat. He sees a moment, he seizes it, okay? He seizes it. He jumps up, and without actually going in the middle of it, very actively, he understands, he reads the moment. He understands that there is a massive Savarna mobilization, which is looking for some kind of a technocrat, future-speaking, vision-oriented leader. And without going to New Delhi, that's what Modi brands himself as. And he is very successful in rising from that chaos. As I don't think he was the plan. I don't think that was the plan of the right wing or the RSS or the BJP, whoever was the machine behind it, if at all there was a machine behind those protests. I don't think Modi was the plan, but he was the one who sees the moment. Say what you will about him, he reads it, and people forget now. Narendra Modi was not BJP's prime ministerial face for the 2014 Lok Sabha elections till very late in the day. Till late 2013, there was very strong will they, won't they moment for Modi, but I think eventually, from the BJP's perspective, they made the right decision. I think in their Goa meeting or whatever, where they said, no, we are going to fight this election behind Modi, and turned out to be the right decision for them. But like, there was this whole period between 2010-11 and 2013-14 where there was a lot of political chaos. And that's what I mean. We don't really understand where that chaos came from. Political parties, ideological groups will always try to create opportunities, but this scale of it, you can't just manufacture it in a lab. It's a case of you try something and then it just explodes. It just catches fire. I think what they tapped into it was by 2010-11, there was already this growing disillusionment with the great Indian dream. You already were beginning to feel a little bit of the crunch that we are absolutely in the middle of. Like, the shit was beginning to pile up, and now we are absolutely in deep. Now there is no turning back. But that is when people felt it. Like, there's this uneasiness in the air that not enough jobs are getting created. Not enough growth is happening. Like, everybody's saying it's great, but something's not adding up. And that anxiety just like immediately Savarna's solution to that was, it's because we have the wrong people in charge and we need somebody clean, technocratic who can fix this. And you see the major pivot, like, at the national stage, it is Modi who seizes the initiative and this whole thing consolidates behind him, Modi wave. But at the Delhi level and the local level, from the chaos of that movement, rises Arvind Kejriwal, and he does exactly the same thing, which is why both of their political personalities till very recently were exactly the same. Like, they were seen as people who could walk the talk, who could deliver the thing. They were both seen as, in their early days, right? Modi also had this branding that he's not in it for the power and the luxury and the trappings of it. He's above it all. He's like, working for the greater good. Same way with Kejriwal. They both came to be seen as people who are like, capable of delivering the technocratic solutions above the day-to-day bhasad mess of these, uneducated rural politicians, even though Modi is pretty much that guy, but he branded himself, he surrounded himself with teams which are very IT savvy and people who were talking the talk, and Kejriwal, more educated of the two of them, he had like this whole IIT thing going for him, anti-corruption crusader. So the whole dream coalesced behind these people. So large sections of the underclass, the marginalized caste groups, Muslims, they started feeling that, okay, at least Kejriwal is a viable alternative because he is another future-oriented guy and all that. And he has like a bit of a, I'll fix the system energy, which is what early 2010s was all about, right? And now in 2025, 15 years later, 12, 13 years later, that energy is gone, right? I think there's a growing realization in this country. Like I was saying, I've said this over like 45, 46 episodes, 20 Patreon episodes. This is my constant theme. I keep repeating this. I was saying these things years ago. That time nobody was like, now you're beginning to see, I'm reading these columns, right? That the great Indian dream is kind of over. Like today I was seeing Indian Express, Neerja Chaudhary, who's like a very respected, quote unquote, political observation person, sits in Delhi. She wrote a book about like the last 6-7 Lok Sabha elections, Her column in Indian Express basically talks about, उस corridor of power में ये हुआ, इधर पे ये हुआ. Basically, she's clued into that system, and she's writing basically what I was saying in some episodes ago also, that the voter has become transactional, right? Uh, exactly my point, that now it's no longer about, don't tell us about religion and all of this. Don't tell us about what development and double engine sarkar. None of that will happen. Just tell us what welfare thing you'll give us. Are you giving us a stipend? Are you giving us a ladli behna type of thing, like where women in the family will get some cash? Are you giving us farm loan waiver? Are you giving us this? Just tell us that. That's a negotiation. We'll go and vote for whoever can give us the bigger, bigger thing, right? Because we've lost faith in the political process, and that's a very scary moment to be in. Because, like I said, 10-15 years ago, the feeling was that we don't have the right people in charge. If we put the right people in charge, it will get better. And that ended up being Modi at the national level, and Kejriwal at the regional level in Delhi. And I think that whole experiment has turned around also, right? Of course, I'm simplifying this now. Somebody will be like, no, but what about Hindutva, fascism? Please, okay, I get it. I'm not a child, right? I do this. I've spoken about a lot of these things, right? There is a Hindutva agenda, and there is but my take on that always is, why do people pretend that Hindutva started institutionalizing itself after 2014? Kya before Modi, Sanghis were not in the university system? Like Congress, UPA regime did not have any, hardcore caste supremacist with sympathies to the Sangh. Like even today, if you speak to RSS people, a lot of them have a deep soft corner for Indira Gandhi, because she was exactly the kind of prime minister that they wanted. I was reading some review of Kangana Ranaut. I think I may have spoken about it before. Kangana Ranaut played like Indira Gandhi in a biopic, and some reviewer was like, "Oh, it was surprisingly very decent portrayal. We thought she would make her an caricature." No, they won't. You don't understand your own history. They're not going to caricaturize Indira Gandhi. Indira is a politician that they like. They will make fun of Nehru. They will make fun of maybe Rajiv Gandhi, not Indira, because she delivered a lot of their agenda, and arguably directly responsible in a lot of cases in places like Uttar Pradesh and all, for reviving, religion, caste, supremacist, upper caste mobilizations, and basically fanning the RSS growth. It's on her watch. There much has been written about it. I'm not making these arguments. Other people have written about it. Shiv Sena in Maharashtra, facilitated, tolerated, encouraged by her. The whole Bhindrewale, I come from Punjab. The whole Bhindrewale is a monster she created who ran out of hand. But important thing is she created it. In Maharashtra, the idea was to counter the militancy of the Dalit movement. So the Dalit Panthers were beginning to assert themselves, and they were very directly taking on Indira Gandhi and her regime. So to counter that, there is a mobilization which sets in motion, which if you read great J.V. Pawar's writing of Dalit Panther history, he's saying that in Bombay, places like Worli, there were street fights between Shiv Sena and Dalit Panthers back in the 70s. I'm talking about. How does this come about? Who's encouraging this? So there is a much deeper history of this idea of fascism, of whatever you want to call it, Hindutva, whatever you want to call it, from an Ambedkarite perspective, from a Bahujan perspective, SC, ST, OBC perspective. History is not so linear, right? Good guys and the bad guys, like everything that you call fascist doesn't arise with a native Hitler. It arises with a larger state political formation of what happened to India after 47. Who took charge, right? Who constituted the rank and file of the Congress party, right? Go and see who are these 350, 300 members of parliament who are coming into Nehru's, Lok Sabha, right? What are their views? Who are these people? What are the speeches they're giving? What are their policies? What are their ideas? You will find a surprising overlap. A lot of people who are now very core members of the BJP RSS machinery or larger network, their grandfathers are Congress. Like that's the system. So let's not start like pretending that everything in the last 10 years has just been about this. That has always been the political fabric. Having said that, on top of that, I'm saying there was a generational narrative of change, which this educated Savarna, liberal, MBA, urban dwelling engineer, techie class thought, right, that they could deliver India's problems electorally by creating this kind of a politician, who's educated, savvy, and all of that, and also through their economic, technical, social policies. That was their vision, and it has failed spectacularly across the board. They used to love politicians like Atishi. Like she came, like Atishi is such a great example because she's, I think, like an Oxford grad. Like first time I heard about her was like 10 years ago. From my Savarna colleagues, they were like, oh, she's Oxford educated. Do you know her last name is Marlena because her parents were Marxist Leninists, and it's an abbreviation of Marx and Lenin, so hence they called her Atishi Marlena. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And the first symptom of heat she got, like she entered the political arena, and immediately like people like candidates from BJP started saying, oh, these are like Marxists and these are Naxals, urban Naxals, iska to naam hi maar lena hai. Like she could have turned around and said that, hey, I didn't choose my name, my parents chose it, right? And I'm connected to my parents, and like don't judge me by my name or whatever. But she immediately did like a full volte-face. She was like, no, I'm not going to use it anymore. It's that kind of absolute, run away faster than the speed of light at being checked for any controversy. This very banya confrontation, phobic, don't stand for anything, just ease out. That approach is what has bled up out. Atishi is a great example. She dropped the name Marlena. Beach mein she was saying, oh, I'm Rajput, I'm Khatri. Now she only puts the name Atishi. And like she is not even pretending that I'm this educated Oxford person who was initially brought in as like this technocrat who will fix the education system. No, she's like a proper wool-dyed like politician. Like she will fake cry because like somebody in an election campaign said something about her dad, and she's like, mere pitaji ko mujhe nahi aise kiya. Like god damn it, like that's where you've lost that narrative. That's when you've realized that none of these people have the aura that actually brought them into the power, because that aura is no longer existing in the larger social zeitgeist. It doesn't exist in the larger social cultural atmosphere. It's gone, right? And at the end of it, all these people have left the exact kind of political bickering tricks, namuna bazi, drama bazi, the exact kind of things that they said we will never do it. They're exactly doing that. Of course, they're going to get voted out of power for that. Especially when BJP's come out and said, oh, they did some good work, we're not going to change that. And people are like, yeah, then why not vote for those guys? Let's vote for those guys. Because we don't want another 5 years of this, LG this and, Kejriwal ji ke saath aisa bura hua. Like, we don't want that, right? And that's really just how it has played out. So for me, it's that loss of innocence that the elite liberal Savarnas could fix, that there was this ideal type politician who could rise above, the caste, class, religion, politics and make a change. Well, that's not what has happened, right? If you look at Aam Aadmi Party, they have consistently shied away from trying to take any kind of strong positions on affirmative action for caste. Even the Congress party is coming out and saying, like, Congress party, like Nehru's great grandson, Indira's grandson, Rajiv Gandhi's son, Rahul Gandhi is coming out and saying that, reservations and caste census and all of that, not Aam Aadmi Party. Not Aam Aadmi Party, not these people, none of them have come out and said anything. And, when it comes to Muslims, the Northeast Delhi riots happened on Aam Aadmi Party's chief ministership. Like, and it is so damning. Like, this is how you lose the faith of a community, because the CA&RC was introduced and then Delhi became the epicenter and this protest spread across the country. But in Delhi, there was like the whole Shaheen Bagh and all of those things, which really irritated the BJP, and you could tell. And then within weeks of that, I won't even say months, within 5, 6, 7 weeks of that, by February, there were riots happening in Northeast Delhi, and Aam Aadmi Party just did the most banya move ever. They were like, oh, we have nothing to do with it, right? BJP is creating these conditions, and there are communal riots happening. We don't control the police, so we have no responsibility. They just completely wiped their hands away from it, and the community watched. And that's what tends to happen. Like, when you do that, you have lost the faith of the Muslims, because you did nothing to step out and say, okay, we'll do the relief work. You did none of that. And you're not going to get the quote-unquote, like, the violent Hindu mob vote that you're getting, because BJP is going to get it, because you just said that they are the ones who are doing it. And although it seems in this election, and this kind of stuff comes and bites you, because one seat definitely they have lost because of Owaisi's party. And Owaisi's party, like, say whatever you want about them, but they back the former Aam Aadmi Party MLA who was arrested on charges of like inciting communal violence, and his party abandoned him, and AIMIM have ran him as their candidate. So Owaisi is not going for Delhi. He's like, okay, we will support you. And that guy's vote share is the reason why at least one seat directly Aam Aadmi Party has lost. But in a lot of other cases, it seems in this election, Muslims have still sort of like, they went and they figured out, okay, we don't like this party, but Congress is not yet a viable option in Delhi, so let's still go and vote for Aam Aadmi Party. Guess what's going to happen in the next election? They're not going to do that. Next election, I expect large numbers of scheduled caste, large numbers of Muslim voters are going to pivot back to the Congress, and Aam Aadmi Party, made the big mistake of entering Gujarat. Now, there's a line in Maqbool, where Irfan Khan's character says, like, Darya ghar mein ghusa hai, like the sea has come to my house. Well, Darya will come to now Aam Aadmi Party. They were in power, and the national government BJP, they got the chief minister arrested, they got the number 1 and number 2, the party arrested, while Aam Aadmi Party was in power. Guess what will happen to them now? Now you're out of power. Aam Aadmi Party runs Punjab, but that is already a very difficult relationship, because Punjab has a lot of regional autonomy. They don't like, New Delhi. Like, one of the big political issues of Aam Aadmi Party in Punjab was always that, will New Delhi have a remote control on the Punjab government? And, then they got around that problem they lost one election which they should have won. Then they won the next one. And their whole thing has been like, okay, we are Bhagwant Mann, who's the chief minister of Punjab. He's his own guy. New Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party, Kejriwal, Raghav Chadda, these people don't control him. He's his own guy. Well, behind the scenes, they surely did control him. But now that Aam Aadmi Party has lost Delhi, Kejriwal's personal brand has taken a massive hit. Their brand of politics, this sanctimonious, oh, holier than thou, no longer works. Why will Bhagwant Mann fully listen to them? So they're going to have a crisis in the only state that they are running. Best of luck now trying to grow your footprint in Gujarat and Goa. What they should have done was they should have gone to some states like Odisha, which really needed that kind of input. They should have gone into Odisha, they should have gone into like Chhattisgarh, maybe Rajasthan. Like, if you did want to go into a state with Congress BJP binary, why the hell would you want to go into Gujarat except to kind of poke the bear? Well, congratulations, you poked the bear, and now the bear is angry, and the bear has just broken down your house. Now you have no protection, whatever little you had, and they are going to systematically maul, tear apart, destroy this framework, and by the next election it'll look very different. I can already see people like, I can imagine, I could be wrong, I could be completely wrong. Again, like everything I say on this podcast is just my complete dumb opinion, don't take it seriously, but this is what I think. I can already see people like Saurabh Bharadwaj, um, Somnath Bharti, like, move over to the BJP. If Arvinder Lovely can, from Congress, Delhi Congress, one of the like staunch stalwarts of Delhi Congress in recent years, can move to BJP, I can see these guys very easily crossing over. I can see someone like Manish Sisodia or Atishi like slipping back into a quasi, academic, civil society role. Kejriwal remains to be seen where he goes. There's a lot of politicians like that who've just kind of lost their constituency. KCR in Telangana, where I am, Jagan Reddy in Andhra, Naveen Patnaik in Odisha. Like, a lot of these people are just like, they don't know what to do anymore because they've just been bypassed by the change of generational guard, the Chautalas in Haryana. They've just been bypassed by the shift in generational politics. Badals in Punjab, who are just like sort of still lurking. Nobody has an idea of what to do. Nobody knows how to reinvent themselves anymore. And I suspect that would be the long term future of Kejriwal. But broadly speaking, this idea that elite, educated, liberal, urban situated, English speaking, professional minded savarnas can fix society electorally, can fix society politically, economically, through business, through culture, well, that's over. So with this, we've come towards the end of this arc. It's getting dark. It's getting really, really dark. It's over. The Swades moment is gone. Like I said, if they made Swades 2, it would be about Shah Rukh Khan and his children going abroad, from India back again. And that is also not welcome apparently now because of the whole H1B thing going on in the US. It's over. Like, it's an age of darkness which is coming. Not that any of these Kejriwal, Aam Aadmi Party, or like, the first wave of Modi and all that, not that any of this was particularly progressive. It wasn't. I have, like, since back in the day, never thought that these are very progressive people to begin with. But at least they had like the mask of respectability. At least they had this mask of, we are trying to rebuild things. We are trying to make India great or whatever. We are trying to build the great Indian dream. That's all over now. That's it. That's the end. Take care. Bye. It's getting dark to see. Feel I'm knocking on heaven's doors. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, you finished the whole episode. Well done. I can't believe you can tolerate my voice for so long. But in case you liked what you heard, you might consider also joining for the exclusive episode that I do for my paying subscribers, because that show gets into slightly edgier topics and I don't really want to put it out in the public domain. It's available on the Patreon as well as on YouTube through the join option. And In case you don't want to drop extra money, I completely understand. Please keep listening to my regular show. I'm grateful as ever. There's a buy me a coffee link in case you want to drop some love. Otherwise, just have a nice day. Stay being awesome. Bye bye.